What is up, YouTube? My name is Jake, and welcome back to another episode of Curtis Review. This week we're going to be talking about Atlanta Season 4, Episode 2, titled The Homeliest Little Horse. This episode is directed by Angela Barnes and written by Ibra Ake and Donald Glover. This is a doozy of an episode. Definitely a completely different vibe than the first episode of the season. We see that Ern is going into therapy. He's working with this man who I think is just immediately likable. The actor's name is Sullivan Jones, and he is playing a man named Everett Tillman. There are some really great moments between him and Ern to see some very, no pun intended, earnest back and forth conversation, and you're really getting some backstory on Ern's experience at Princeton. This is a really cool takeaway from the episode, as we do not often get moments where the characters get a lot of backstory. These sort of surface level relationships that have deepened and become less surface level, and they're more sort of becoming like a sitcom family. Ern's working through something that happened at Princeton where he was an RA and he had a friend that he trusted named Sasha, another RA. He had an interview. There was a suit that he needed to store there, great looking suit. He used it for an interview and he was all prepared for that. Sasha offered to let him use her room to store it, come back by, see her, and pick it up. When it's time for the interview, Sasha's nowhere to be found. Ern ends up having to break into the room using the master key provided to all RAs. This becomes kind of a fiasco. He ends up getting accused of sexual assault, rape-like things. Sasha ends up really breaking his trust, saying that he tried to break in and she was concerned for her safety. The university takes it very seriously. Knowing the background of Princeton, you can probably tell what it would be like to be a black student. It's probably a big deal for them up until these things happen, and then they're so ready to take care of it that Ern does it himself. And he leaves, comes back to Atlanta, and this is where the show kind of picks up. We really start to see what Ern was really going through in that first season. You know, I talk a lot about how lighthearted those episodes are, but he was going through some shit. He's homeless by the end of season 1, and his parents don't really want much to do with him, so that kind of leads you to believe that maybe they don't know quite what's going on with him. It's really upsetting stuff, but it's great to learn more about his character, and it really gets fleshed out well. In the side plot, which really ties everything together in beautiful, amazing, hilarious ways, we get a character named Lisa. Lisa is an up-and-coming children's book author. First thing we see about Lisa is she is checking out this black EMT worker at her apartment complex. She goes back into her apartment after he walks by her. She says hi to him. He doesn't really give a rat's ass. She's kind of doing some American Beauty shit, like ogling him, objectifying him, and then she gets a ping on her laptop, and it turns out that somebody really liked her children's book manuscript. So she ends up going to this book agent to check out what's going on, like who wants to sign her. Weirdly enough, we see Tracy from season 2 show up, just completely hadn't thought about him in a season. You know, he didn't show up anywhere in season 3. A great red herring to throw in there, like, why the hell is Tracy here? The book agent kind of just quickly agrees to sign her. Very weird, but I think she just has been working so hard on this that she is anyone that's ready to say yes, she's ready to jump on that. He sends her to a salon to get all made up. She needs to look hot for the photographer. She goes to tell her best friend. Her best friend's very apprehensive about it, doesn't really seem to trust in her writing. What ends up happening is we find out in those therapy sessions that Ern has gone through another trauma. He went to the airport to visit Princeton because his therapist had helped convince him that this initial Princeton invitation to come back and speak at the university and fundraise for him was worth Ern's time. It's okay to celebrate those small successes and take his family. So he was excited to take Van, Lottie. That gets foiled when this white woman at the airport, who the therapist actually points out that she was white. Ern indicated in the previous story that Sasha was white. There's a trend here. We know where this is going. They get stopped. He had forgotten his other identification. His passport was apparently too tattered and ratty. She wouldn't let him through. They were going to miss their flight. Eventually, a black woman airline worker comes through, helps him out, takes 2 seconds. They get through to TSA, and the same woman from earlier is waiting there with TSA. Just creates this awful moment in Ern's family's life. We see Lisa arrive at the library after the story is told by Ern. She's got her hair all done up, and she comes in with her little service dog. The librarian says very sternly, no dogs allowed, and we find out this woman kind of pulling that Karen card, and she's like, well, I work for the airline. If someone says you have a service dog, you're allowed to bring it in. I know these things. We kind of put 2 and 2 together. She's the one who created this trouble for Ern and his family. What happens is a complete train wreck of a book reading. The kids start mocking mocking her while she's reading about the Homeliest Little Horse. They say, the horse is farting, the horse is too stupid to do this, that's the horse. She's just having this complete meltdown. Immediate, like, cringe-worthy moment. Unhinged. What is she gonna say to these kids? Is she gonna say some racist shit? It ends up being that she has a complete meltdown. As this happens, we see a videotape playing on a TV, and it sort of zooms out. We're in a bar. Ern says it's a rap party. Al and Darius are there. They're like asking what this is all for. Well, Ern has been using his management skills to apparently pull together this elaborate scheme to spite this woman who created him so much pain, likely stemming from that trauma that he had with Sasha. One has to empathize here. You can only push people so far before they mess with you back. Ern kind of realizes in real time he might be a little bit more mentally unstable. He decides that ending it with his therapist early probably wasn't the right thing. As someone who's been in and out of therapy his entire life, the moment that you think you don't need therapy might be the moment that you do. We see the demise of Lisa, the children's book writer, the fall of her career at the hands of a very capable but kind of mentally unstable Ern. We see that he is probably going to pursue working on himself again, but we do definitely see that he's got a lot more power, wherewithal. What is he capable of doing? Not necessarily that he's going to become the bad guy of the show. It'll be interesting to see where they carry that plot line. It's one of the funniest episodes when it zooms out and you realize that Ern set up this whole elaborate scheme. That is my absolute jam when it comes to things like this. I love when people are not in on the joke and then you get that payoff at the end. I'd love to know what you thought. This was Atlanta Season 4, Episode 2, The Homeliest Little Horse. This was another Curtis review. If you liked the video, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing with a friend. Leave a comment down below of what your favorite moments in the episode were. Until next time, peace.